Well, hello there, everybody. How are you doing? I'm a little bit, a couple of minutes, maybe about a minute and a half early. Got a heck of a storm outside. It's raining, and I mean like sideways. But hey, the earth has got to be replenished, and I can dig it. So we're there. So how are you? Thank you for stopping by this fine Wednesday, wherever you are. Thank you. It is an honor to have you here and to be amongst such beautiful minds. I mean, seriously, y'all, I got the best, freshest, non-restrictive minds. It's amazing. Things can happen when people like that get together, and that's what they fear, the controllers. They say if they ever get their shit together, man, they're gonna kick our ass. Bet your ass we are. So welcome everybody. How's that? Let me just speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken, and no weapon formed against us can prosper. We're always the head, never the tail. We always come out on top, never beneath. And we like to be prospering too. Nothing missing, nothing broken, and be of service to others. And share a little love. There's way too much hate, so much confusion in the world. You be that bright light, in your sphere of influence. You have the power. It's a beautiful power. It's one that people let me phrase this correctly. Those who have the ability to sense and want to be a part of such a peaceful, easy feeling, they'll come. Y'all are here. So that's why I'm here. So, yeah. And laugh. You have to laugh, folks. If you're not laughing at least a dozen times a day, ask yourself why. Do spirits laugh? We know they cry. We actually catch EVPs of that. But I mean, joyful laughter, the kind that comes from the solar plexus, that soul laugh. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. But it is a good question. Hey, Colleen, good to see you, dear. What's up? Lost in Space. William, hello, Paradox. What's up, Robert? Scotty Boy and Off the Hook. Ronnie, how are you? And Jeanette, how are you, my love? I think I saw Belanca in there. How you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Mary Hodges, what's up? Shirley, hello. Got to see. Hey, Linda, laugh and the world laughs with you. Exactly. If always leave them laughing. If they're laughing, they're not never going to curse you. My wife tells me all the time, she says, you're the only man in my life that I've known, she says, where you make me laugh. And that's groovy. It's like, well, thank you. Thank you very much, honey. I appreciate that. So the check is in the mail, as they would say. Ronnie, what's up? And Ronnie, you're absolutely right. The thing about it is it will heal you. Yeah. Laughter doeth the body as a good medicine. And actually, I think the literal translation is laughter doeth the heart as good medicine. So think about that. And it's been proven. People who have suffered what they would call major damage to their heart, whether it through be cardiac arrest, whatever. There's been those who said, I'm not leaving yet. And they healed themselves by laughter. It's true. Now, laughter and what's funny is amazing. As a child, I grew up with the Three Stooges. There was Laurel and Hardy as well, Abbott and Costello, but the Three Stooges. In fact, my grandmother had to ban my brother and I from watching it there for a while because we were emulating what they were doing. But the thing about slapstick humor is that it's funny. When you see another human being, it's I don't think it's wrong. It's just where we are. You ever seen someone fall? Now, someone would say, well, how can you laugh at that? Don't give me that holy righteousness crap. There is just sometimes when you see a person fall, it's just funny. And, that's why the Three Stooges were who they were. But laughter. The Marx Brothers, I mean, they're another one. The Marx Brothers is probably some of the most sophisticated humor that there ever has been. I mean, I still love A Night at the Opera, Night at the Circus. Yeah. And then I think one of the most funniest movies out there has to be It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. And I think right behind that is the movie Gone Fishing. Yeah. And that's just a funny ass movie. But anyway, so off to hook. Are you having a pulled pork sandwich? Oh man, now I want one. But yeah, laughter. In one of the foster homes that I was in, they were really wealthy. They were wealthy. We're talking the type of wealth that, and probably why I didn't do well there was that you had to come to dinner. I had to wear a white shirt and a tie. I didn't even own a tie. I mean, this was so foreign from what I had been exposed and raised in. It was like, a complete 180, and actually had servants, serve you the food. Anyway, they had a cabin. I guess you could almost say it was a river house. And long story short, the one of the daughters, and I still remember this, they allowed me to drive this boat, right? Pulling a skier behind me. And yeah. Anyway, I just remember, and I still remember her name, Shannon, as I was making the turn, I didn't tell her, you're supposed to let the skier know that you're going to be turning. I didn't do that. I just simply turned, and I looked about the time to see her get this expression on her face, like, I'm not going to make this turn. And she goes directly into the mud, and the skis go directly down, and she goes, "Plop." And she gets up, and her face is just, yeah. So, I didn't get to drive the boat again for a long time. And for good cause. I had any idea what the hell I was doing. But anyway, so I digress. Hey, Off the Hook, what's up? It's interesting. So you mentioned the crock pot. This morning I was actually got navy beans and beans and ham. So yeah. Paradox, what's up? Burns in the oven. I don't know what that is. Greetings, Gogo. What's up? Good to see you, Joe. Hello. Anyway, have to admit that was really funny. So laugh. And sometimes it's still funny when people get hurt. It just happens. Grace, how you doing? Good to see you. Always a delight to have you amongst the rest of us. Loretta, good to see you. Gilbert, what's up? Lori, hello. Scotty boy. So anyway, what else is happening? A lot happening. Yeah. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the music. I just do that because I'm sitting here, and actually today I had a number of things to do, but it's like really raining, and it's like, it is dark out there, folks. The wind's blowing, and the wind cries, Mary, doom, doom, doom. Yeah, and it's a great recipe. I've had it before, and it's really good. And that Jamaican banana bread, it's great. It's an easy recipe. It just takes a long time, and it's good. Hey, Pengrady, what's up? Good to see you. Love the stories. Well, it's my life, man. It's my life. Someone wrote me and said, you seem to have had a very diverse career. That's the thing. I don't think I've ever had a career. Had a lot of fun, a lot of experiences. One of the best times I had was when I was in NASCAR. Had a couple of clients, a couple of drivers, the late Davey Allison, primarily, and how I got introduced into the sport, because I really was not that aware of the sport, was I worked for the nation's largest video duplicator. Outside the studios, we were the next biggest thing. We had, good Lord, we had 15 high-speed machines, and these machines could do a 30-minute program in 9 seconds. And then we had about close to 10,000 real-time decks. And long story short, I had a client in Charlotte, and they had a client, which was Richard Petty, subsequently Kyle Petty. And it's very interesting, very tight-knit community. And anyway, as I look right over there on the packaging we did for the King, yeah, I had a great time. Had a really good time. There was a race in Atlanta, because I had press credentials, and so, which allowed me to get into the garage, into pit row. I mean, that's right down in the action. I knew one of the cameramen that worked for ESPN, and he was a cool dude. Yeah, Corky was his name. Dale Earnhardt insisted that anytime that ESPN did an interview or a shot, that Corky was the camera guy. We were sitting inside the wall in the old configuration of the racetrack on turn 4, and Neil Bonnet was coming around, and Corky and I, because I was the president of the International Television Association, and we're talking, and we hear it. We began to hear. You could hear that his back end lost traction on the track, and we just didn't expect what happened. Yeah. So here comes this NASCAR, and that was back in the early 90s. I mean, 750 horsepower coming around, and when he hit the outside wall on turn 4, it caused him to go directly to the inside wall where Corky and I were standing, and we both said it at the same time: hit the ground. And boy, when we did, I mean, dust, I mean, there was paint particles, and yeah, anyway, I digress. But it was a lot of fun, I have to say. Wild times. Anyway, so what else have happened to everybody? So the theme today is it working? So have you looked in your life? Is it working? Are you where you want to be? I got to tell you what, I don't like where this world's at. I got to tell you what, I don't like it one bit. Man, I don't know what evil is, but I got a good idea when I can look at some of the crap that we as human beings are doing to other human beings. I mean, it's beyond a circus. It's a freaking horror story. Chris says it's always working until it's not. Exactly. It's a fact, Speaking of moonshine, and it's true. Had a good conversation one time with Bill Elliott. Nicest guy, as was Jeff Gordon. I got to meet Jeff Gordon because I was taking a piss in, where the racers in the John, and happened to look over, and there was this rookie, and that's when Jeff Gordon was a rookie, and we just start talking. I mean, so yeah. But Bill Elliott, his family goes back, and they were moonshine runners. So yeah. Brand, what you doing? Brandon, what's up? Good to see you, my brother. Trust everything is good with you. So anyway, good times. Mark Martin, all of them back there in the day. So as we continue to go forward, as I was saying, it's messed up. Something isn't working. And unless you kind of look at it in the other direction and say, well, maybe it is working. Because this seems to be deliberate. I mean, it bothers me. I mean, I'm of that generation that, I remember the tense times. I was 6 years old, but aware of enough that, when you're doing the, duck your head under your desk, cover your head, I remember those exercises. I remember distinctly Huntley Brinkley report and them showing, Russian warships right there in the Gulf. And you look at that and, we had smarter people back then. I mean, they were, I think, Looney Tin. I think we started entering into this period of insanity. But yeah. And we got to, you can't ignore this, because I think that's a disservice. We have the ability that we can inject change. I hear and I read, because I know this group, we've been talking about peace. And now there are subsequent anti-war protests. You're going to hear much more about this in the spring. I believe there's going to be larger and larger gatherings, because, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in the United States, wherever you are, the real possibility is that this so-called proxy war that is underway is going to get out of the cage. And then once it gets out of the cage, you ain't getting it back in. So this is the time when all of us who say that we're enlightened and we're anything but woke, I'd rather depend on common sense than wokeness. But there are people waking up to this going, wait a minute, time out. Where the hell did I sign on for this? I don't think any of us want a war with Russia. It's a no-win scenario. No one wins. And you look at already the destruction and the cost. So that ain't working. And it sure is broke. And they're making us all broke. I mean, geez. So Graham says, I'm working for the change. I'm circulating my narcissistic abuse work and plowing the rest of my work under. I love this. Common sense. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? My fifth grade teacher, Miss Buttons. I've told you all this, but it sticks with you. It's amazing. Those things that, you are, I don't know, are planted in you as a child. And, as she told me there, after school was out, anyway, an ounce of common sense will outdo a pound of book learning any day. That was a wise woman. That's a witch. In the proper term that it should be expressed. That's a very wise woman. And she imparted that wisdom to me. And here I am now, way past the half-century mark. And it's as though it was happening yesterday. In fact, as I was telling you the story, I was sitting right there on this ledge where the window's out because it was hot. Yeah. It's like music. I have such an eclectic taste, as y'all do. I'm thankful that I was trained, playing the clarinet and then the bassoon. Classical, but it's stayed with me all my life. It's just, the beauty of music and the math of how it's expressed in tones and dimensions. Anyway, because that bassoon, it could make some pretty interesting sounds. Was probably opening up portals and had no freaking idea that that's what I was doing. So anyway, Clever Gypsy says, I believe common sense is seeded by intuition. Darling, I would agree with you on that. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. You see, that is the brilliancy of the minds that are in this enclave, this group, this coming together. I love it. Sonali says, wisdom. I like that. Yep. Mm-hmm. See, y'all get it. Yep. She got it. Yeah. Clever Gyp. She said it as it's beautiful. Yosley said he played the trombone. I had a friend that played the trombone. Interesting instrument. It really is. How you learn to on the slide on that. Yeah. Xander says, I love clarinet and the baritone sax. Yeah. That sax, I mean, a saxophone, you get someone like, who can play a saxophone, and that's why I love jazz. But the saxophone, when in the early days in rock and roll, played a huge role in that. I mean, how many of you remember, when the Stones released, the Sticky Finger album and Can't You Hear Me Knocking? That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that sax intro in there is just really, really cool shit. Yeah, Jeanette, the sax is sexy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get that Barry White thing going on. Oh, you gotta love it. Grace says piano and ukulele. Interesting. I could see the correlation on that. Yeah. Scotty Boy says joints are sexy. Of course they are, Love a good trombone. One of my mentors was Benny Goodman. I thought the clarinet was pretty cool because back in the day of the big bands, clarinet was like the lead guitar. It was pretty cool stuff. But anyway, folks, it is like really freaking raining back there. I'm listening to this going, holy cow, Batman. Paradox said, I played the sax in high school. Excellent. I love it. The reed tickles. Yeah. And the thing about the bassoon is that, it's a double reed instrument, much like the oboe. And that was particularly difficult, but, yeah. If you already had the single reed with the clarinet or the saxophone, here we go. See, we just all be talking about it because we all got this impact, the same thing. I mean, it runs in this group. That's all I got to say. It's just amazing. If we all got together, I bet you we could probably, with some practice, put together a hell of a band. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to get the band back together. So here's something, and next week we're going to get more into this but let me just finish out this thing with this proxy war that's going on right now, folks. We are on the freaking precipice. I've been meditating on this and purposely putting it in my dreams, trying to see, because it's much like that song I had in the playlist earlier, Aphrodite's Child. If you've never heard that song, go and listen to it. I mean, listen to it. It was so freaking prophetic. It's fucking prophetic. And we would have a great party. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, you know, that's interesting, Leslie, about music instruments. They will cleanse the negativity. They will. You know, it was said that David would play to Saul because King Saul was possessed. That's what it says in the book of, I believe it's in the book of Kings. And that David, he was a rocker. I mean, I asked myself this question, and I, you know, I know where it seems like I got whiplash going here with everyone, but, you know, David played the harp, which was kind of, you know, think about it. I imagine he could do some jamming out on that thing. And then it occurred to me, I was thinking, rock and roll. I mean, rock and roll changed the world. And whether it was because we had the technology, there was something that we were passing through space, something that activated the a part of us in our brains that, you know, my generation coming up, you know, we brought in this sound. And I mean, it was a sound. And it was a different sound. And it was a good sound. But I often wonder, you know, because then you have to say, well, did they have guitars? Well, we know they did, or at least instruments that, you know, where guitars came from. They had woodwinds. They found flutes and what have you. So I'm just wondering, did they rock back then? I mean, did they have jam sessions? That's my question. You know, think about it. Some dude's out there, man, he's been picking the mushrooms, man, and he's sitting back and he's made his flute, you know, and so he's out there, man, and he's jamming, man. He's just and he hears and the sound carries through because there ain't no noise pollution. You know what I'm saying? Probably could carry for miles. Some guy that has a harp, man, that was out there and, you know, he was tripping a little bit on the natural herb, man, and he hears that flute. So so far out and starts hitting the tune. I mean, does he go and they say, hey, let's form a band? I can't think that they didn't. I mean, surely it has been a part of our human nature. I don't know. I'm just sitting back talking. I mean, people don't stop and think about this stuff. Someone wrote me an email, and Charlie, I know you guys are coming down next weekend, looking forward to the visit. Said, man, you know, you talk, and this is literally what he said. He says, you talk so much shit that, you know, other people just don't talk. He says, what's up with you? How do you answer a response to that? And I said, I am who I am. I mean, that's the only thing I could say back, you know, I am who I am. Yeah, my wife accuses me of that as well. She says, you don't think like other people. But the point is, I do. I'm with these other people right now. It's y'all. If you're listening, we're of the same spirit. You know, got the same chord coming through. We could do A minor, B sharp. Da-da. But yeah, you see, this is what hey, Blue Oyster Cult. Let me tell you what, that unfortunately, they never got the type of recognition that, well, there's a lot of bands have, but that was a really good band. Absolutely. Thank you, Belanca. Yeah, feed the machine. Let's do the thumbs up thing. That's how I look at it. Hello says, I tend to trigger people, and my wife thinks it's entertaining. It can be. invoking cognitive dissonance. It's one of the best ways that you adapt to learning. I mean, that conversation with JD, I'm going to try to get Nina on at the same time. I mean, that's one of those conversations that you can go to 100 places, and I doubt any of those 100 places would ever bring up that subject. I mean, no, not going to happen. Grand Illusion. Yeah, I just played that song today. Twilight Sun, what's up? Infernal Blessings, thank you. Now, here's something. Again, this is a kind of Friday, just free-forming it. Everybody's gone surfing. By the way, I love the sound that came out in the 60s, you know, the surf sound. Ron and Jeremy, the Beach Boys. That was a cool sound. I don't care what anyone says. That was a cool and unique sound. I contend you could take the Beach Boys and go back 2,000 years and walk along the beach and whatever was there. I mean, they didn't kill you. But if you had the ability to play the Beach Boys, I think those people would really get into it, man. I mean, anyway, I digress. Skinnerd, yeah, saw them live. Yeah. Yeah. So let's think about this one. So we have this thing when we enter into this realm. I mean, we live it, we experience it. It's the only thing that we have anything to compare to, but it's really messed up. I mean, you come into this world, you get this birth certificate, and suddenly you get identified by a number. Now, because of where you are, you have a certain net worth. And depending on what country you're in, your net worth would be higher. And then they whoever the hell they are, you know, if I've met them, then they were incognito, I didn't know. But they trade, barter. I don't know if they're bartering our souls. I don't know if they're trading our bodies or what the hell. It seems like they want to capture our minds real quick. You get a mind and you plant the seeds. I mean, it could mess you up, man. Completely send you in a different course than what you had planned when you came in here. If it's gone that we actually planned these jaunts, these journeys. I mean, it's a high risk if you ask me, but apparently we do it because must be something worth it. And, you know, so we come into this realm and, you know, you go, wow, this is really weird. You got people that, you know, want you to be a part of their group. Why? Because if I can get more people and then and it becomes bigger, and you know, it just goes from there. Political parties, social parties, religious parties. I mean, it's all the same. And at the whole time, you know, that's the one thing about my former religion that I could never figure out. Why does God need my money? 10%. Now, I know what it says in the book of Malachi. But I'm not under that contract. I'm not under that covenant. So I can read it 1,000,000 times. But I can't make demand on the provisions because I ain't part of it. But in there, nevertheless, I digress, you know, it talks about 10%. So, you know, that's how the richest landowner of the world, the Vatican, you know, you look at this, 10%. That's what we were told. You tithe God 10%, and he will return it pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Men will give into your bosom. Or it says, you know, prove me now, bring your offerings, your food, your 10%, your tithe, into my house so that there will always be food in my house, and prove me now and see if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you will not be able to contain. I will bring the rain in the due season, and your crops shall not perish by the cankerworm. Sounds good to me. I mean, let me have some more of that. I mean, yeah. I mean, where the hell do you find that? But that's what it was. And I bought into it. The interesting thing is that, you know, when you have this thing called faith, and you really put your faith in that, and faith is nothing more than, like, you know, the laser focus of your concentration. You don't question it. You don't think twice about it. It happens, and that it can't be changed. You know, calling those things that be not as though they are. What the fuck? That's magic. You can't be telling you're using that Satan shit on me over here, calling those things that be not as though they are. No, that's what faith is. Like, how the hell do we get down this road? I know, but the 10% thing, I bought into it. And it's really like God's a dealer in Vegas. Because I saw some people who really prospered. I mean, we're talking the kind of rich that where you not have one private jet, not two private jets, but 3 private jets, anywhere from a Citation 10 to a G5. I knew one that actually had a 747. Now, that gets a little weird, because you go, well, all right. It's you go down these roads, and it all gets to a point. It's you individually. You know, they're extracting from you, and it's weird, because apparently it's a big freaking deal, you know? And then think about this. At the end of your life, now this is where it gets really strange. This realm we're in, and who controls it. I mean, it's really, really big. So when you depart, there's only actually a very limited ways that you're going to die. I mean, it's either going to be through organ failure, it's going to be through some sort of blunt trauma. I mean, or you would be a victim of another human or animal bringing your demise. Now, in the dying process, do you know that the death industry is a $1 trillion industry? Oh, it's big, big, big business. Do you know, for instance, that where the funeral home business is concerned, it's controlled only by a couple of families? Did you know that if you wanted to be cremated, your weight determines whether you'll be eligible to be cremated or not? And do you know that if you die by the slow process of a disease, divided peace, that's what disease means. Wow. And if you live here in the United States, particularly, this is what I'm speaking of here primarily, you have, this gets weird, your value can be anywhere from a mere couple of $1,000 to as much as $1 million. Because in the death industry, they wait for you, because you're going to come to them anyway. And if you get into this, then it becomes really weird because there is a value on you. It's like losing the paperwork everywhere. And I thought to myself, what a way. How many of you remember the movie Salient Green? Charleston Heston, Edward G. Robinson was in the movie as well. And you remember Saul was the character Edward G. Robinson played. And when Saul realized that what the Salient was, which was the food, was just reprocessed human bodies, he said, I've had enough of this shit. I want out. And oddly enough, as many states are now doing in the United States, and it's in Canada, and there's other countries where the big business is now coming in is assisted suicide to assist you. Because here's the deal. If the state helps you in the process, well, it's interesting because they'll pay a premium because your death, ensuring your death or your exit, then has an established cost on it. And you'll find people bidding for that. It's how it is. But anyway, as you remember, they had centers, departure centers. And you would walk in, you would register at the desk. They would, do a quick assessment. It really didn't matter if you were healthy or not. If you want to go, then that's there. And of course, you get to choose the theme and the time, and you take the elixir. And it's real interesting because it's kind of coming to like that now. And it's just the interesting thing is that we come into this realm, we're barter. They allow us to have the experience, and you can just go ahead and have all your pontifications and your thoughts and your theories, your theologians, all that. That's fine because that's part of the ticket. Because you really think you're playing the role. You really think you know this stuff. I know who I am. I know what I believe. I'm not arguing that. You bought the ticket, so did I. And in exchange for that, they extract out of us. Now, I often think that as the physical, there has to be a spiritual correlation, something to do with my soul, something to do with my spirit. I mean, I'm just putting it out there for thought. That's all. Hard to shameless plug. Yeah. Why not? I mean, it's better than self-deprecation, right? It's like, man, support the ego, man. Hit the like button. But it's weird. It really is. I had someone write me, and we got some really smart people watch the show. I mean, PhDs, we got theologians that actually professors, and she is she's got a degree in psychology and a couple of other things. And she said, do you know clinically what happened to you in your youth, particularly said as young as you were, what you did to your brain, taking all of those psychedelic hallucinogenic drugs? And I wrote back and I said, well, I think, but it's just me. I said, enlighten me. And she wrote back, she said, you didn't know this. And she said, science is beginning to see this more and more. For instance, that's why states like Oregon, Colorado, there will be others in legalizing psilocybin mushrooms. It does remarkable job in reducing stress and anxiety. But anyway, she said, what you did is that she said, she says, Wayne, you rewired your brain. She said, I would never recommend anyone do that at that age. She says it can be very dangerous. But she says, for you, somehow it triggered and activated regions of, she says, most likely somewhere in your right hemisphere, in the frontal lobes, that she said it doesn't happen, but it is interesting. It is a known kind of a effect of others of us who were in that age and that moment in history. And she says, it doesn't surprise me that you were drawn to what you would call the spiritual aspect. She says it's integrated. And she says, once these areas of your brain are activated, they don't turn off. She says, it's like you light them up and they don't reduce back down. In fact, she said, I'd love to get an MRI scan of your brain. She says, I'm pretty sure it'd be quite interesting. I go, well, I don't know about that. But yeah. So if you have experienced that yourself, well, put yourself into that group as well. It's something that happens. And then there's a correlation to that in the spiritual aspect. It would also, you could say, in a way that it would be kind of like the shamanic initiation. I mean, that's what the shaman and Shan women, the medicine women, that's what they did. Now, I don't know if they actually had a chemist that was, making lysergic dicelyite, but yeah. So, isn't that cool? She says, have you ever had any, she said, have you ever had any type of flashbacks? And I had to say, no, I never have. I would like to. I mean, to be able to get a double trip out of the trip that I had, 55 years ago or so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. But no, I haven't. That's all I can say. It's interesting. I'm reading some of the comments. Yeah, and it's interesting in Silicon Valley how this, was a decade and a half ago, but that was the real big thing. Microdosing on hallucinogenics. It'll take you places where you never thought you could go. That's for sure. And yeah. So this whole aspect of, that it rewires. I wish I'd known that. Not that I would not have done it. I've taken the course of life that's, don't look back with regret, regardless of what it is. You chose the path you're on and accept it. If you fucked up in the past, hey, accept it. Don't let it influence and continue to weigh across your, as the expression's a millstone around your neck. Enjoy the journey. In the end, you're the only one that's going to judge yourself. So make sure that when you set this thing up, that you look back and you say, I had the best time. I did what I did, and I wouldn't change a thing. We learn along the way, but that's the trap. You go, well, if I had just done that differently. You didn't. Why even ponder it? Now, what you can do is say, well, if I have a similar situation, I know now kind of the cause and effect. That's knowledge. That's just the acquiring of knowledge. So stop judging yourself. You can grade yourself. Try that one. You can be your own sliding scale. Let's see. Today is Wednesday, and I know it's Friday, but you can go, on Wednesday, I'm going to use the sliding scale. Why not? Jeez. Exactly, Graham. Yes, exactly. That's all I got to say. Robin, what's the pixie dust about? I can only imagine. Wouldn't even know what you're talking about. Have no clue what that is. Yeah, right. But seriously, I think so often, I was listening to a program and it was talking about how a country changes from, what would be considered a republic into something that would be more, authoritarian, social or even communism. And I thought it was interesting. In one of the points, it said that move the people away from a guilt-based religion. And I heard that and I said, what? So if I move away from a guilt-based religion, what? Is that somehow wrong, bad? I mean, well, if I move away from a guilt-based religion, then what? I'm somehow not American anymore. I'm not rah, rah, rah. I mean, what's this deal? But I thought to myself, within that, there is some truth. You think about it. Most people can't handle the freedom. It's true. Did you know, and I'm just going to shock probably people. I have to get Jeffrey and I, we're going to get together again, brother, because this is one that you could really talk about here. Do you know that Paul, the apostle, really, seriously, but anyway, Paul, he actually wrote that there is no wrong. None. He said, all things are permissible to me, not all things are profitable for me. Oh, well, I have seen it. I mean, when people really get that monkey off their back, hey, this is God talking to you. What do you think you're doing? You're going to go to hell. That's all right. I got a condo there, and it's got a great view. But seriously? Yeah, seriously. But think about it. So everything is legal. Now they say if you have no law, well, all right, I got the law, but it says that everything is legal. And it happens so often, even adults who finally do get that monkey off their back, they go nuts. I mean, it's true. They just, it's the proverbial kid in a candy store. They want it all. But if favor is on their side and et cetera, they'll learn, and we all roll it back in. I was probably fortunate in the aspect that, I was just a mere 15-year-old out on the street. Imagine that. Yeah, we've talked about this because there's a number of y'all that were out there at your same time at that age. You know exactly what I'm freaking talking about. But where the other kids, still had the parental oversight and, the school and what have you, because I never graduated. They said because I didn't have a permanent address that I wasn't, in fact, a actual student of their district. Yeah. But I'm on my own. I'm homeless at the moment. Doesn't matter. Can't get an education. Get out of here. Yeah, so I was a throwaway kid. I picked that up because you know what? I met a lot of other throwaway kids. And I love every one of them. Even the ones that were pricks and bitches, because I was a prick and a bitch at the same time as well, but loved every one of them. The experience I look back on, we were lost and we were just trying to figure it out. And those of us who survived it to this day, we look back and now we're just grateful for the ride. I mean, you can get a little bruised up on it, but yeah. Anyway, it's interesting. And I do believe that it prepares for this journey on the other side. I mean, I get this idea many times that, not all spirits go to the same place. It's just like when you're born here, you're born on earth, but none of us, you're born all over the place. And I can see him. Up, here comes another hippie. All right, got Fire Sign Theater in the back of my head. Welcome to the trip of a lifetime. Your past has allowed you the opportunity to continue your trip. Welcome aboard. Can I pat on? Yes, Grace, it was my schooling. Yeah, it's true in education in life. It's true because you learn a lot about people. Yeah. And you think about it, many of us who come out of that, and I even with homelessness, but as a child, it's a whole different thing. I mean, you think about this, folks. Many of you who are in that same situation, what a fucking accomplishment. I mean, we didn't go to jail. We didn't die. And through all that, we not only survived, we thrived. We prospered. Don't tell me this stuff don't work. Yeah, they when they became the yuppies, yeah. Because you know what? I love wearing hush puppies. I don't like eating them, but anyway, that's all I can say. And it's as they say, I wasn't alone. There, like I said, there were some we were all just young souls. We were just trying to figure it out. Yeah. That's why when we will get together, this group, one way or the other, it will be the same thing. I think it'll be almost like, people picking up conversations as though you may or may have actually met the person, but you pick up the conversation like it was yesterday. Exactly, Gilbert. Yeah, I never did. Did go to the group W bench. Indeed. I love it. Well, thank you, Lee. Yes, it is. The Milky Way Soul Tribe with Robert and the ladies over there in Andromeda 7. Indeed. So, now, I hope it's been fun for you. I have found it. But this whole death thing, I mean, the whole money thing, it's big business. And I'm going, wow. I mean, we're just abused from the minute we get into this thing until the moment you leave out of it. It's like, Christ's sakes. And we want to come back? I don't know what that says about the other side. I mean, if it's, you think about it, that it's what, that bad that you want to come back into this? Oh, yeah, sure. Makes perfect sense. Absolutely. What the hell were we even thinking? Anyway. Woof. If you just respect yourself, you'll respect others. That's really what it comes down to. So many people that have so much anger coming out of their lips and their words, you can sense it. It almost breaks my spirit. Proverbs says, don't break a child's spirit. But I see this, and there is just so many people that have so much confusion and anger inside of them. It's difficult to break through those frequencies. It really is. It's, yeah. Well, Jeanette, thank you. Well, thank you, my dear. Appreciate that. Honored. Yeah, Scotty, it is. It's fear. Yeah, absolutely it is. Well, have yourselves a great the weekend. I know it's WEEK, so enjoy it. Love yourself. You'll love others. And thank you for being a part of this group. And thank you for just showing such love and compassion to others. It's what uniquely makes this group unique. So Yeah, it is. Thank you, Chris. It was a good conversation. I even enjoyed it myself. Ballot Brandon, thank you, my friend. New Yoda, yeah. Hey, I think we can get there for sure. All right, folks, much love to you. Until we meet again, keep wearing that smile and share the